There it is. We've had our first technical glitch. I told you that. Because spas, for a long time, I think have had some issues, and it's something I've spoken to you about before. If you've ever heard me speak at a presentation before, I've been saying for some time that we've got some issues in the spa industry. But before I start that, I want to talk about the C word. And the C word is something that we've all been hearing a lot about. COVID-19. COVID-19 is probably not the cause of your problems. We think it is. We like to blame it because it's easy to blame COVID-19 for all of our problems. But it could be the catalyst. It could be the catalyst that you need for the change that you need to make. And more importantly, it can actually give you the cover that you need. Whereas once upon a time, you couldn't make those decisions. You couldn't do anything wild and crazy because the environment we worked in, the hotels and the spas where we worked in, weren't willing to accept the need for change. Now, as a result of this last year or so with COVID-19, they know that we've got to make some changes now. We don't really have a choice. We could have just pretended everything was okay, but now we don't have a choice. And more importantly, like I said, now you have the cover. You can go and do those crazy things, try things that you'd never thought about before, because now, thanks to COVID-19, even though it wasn't the cause, even though it may not be the catalyst, it definitely can be the cover. But it's important that we keep it real, and we've got to be real to ourselves. There's a few slides from a presentation I did some time ago talking about the issues that we have in the hotel spa business in general. And the reasons why I said that I think we need to look at reconfiguring our business model. And the reason's very simple. Our capture rates are relatively low. Our occupancy rates are relatively low. Our average checks have kind of hit the peak of what we can really charge. We've hit the ceiling of what we can charge for a spa treatment. And as a result of that, our profits are declining because the reality is our expenses keep going up and we can't charge any more for what we do, so our profit margins keep shrinking. So let's be realistic about what was facing us before. Let's not blame it all on COVID, but let's use COVID as the cover we need. The greatest thing, I think, about the spa industry, and particularly now more than ever, is this. When you look at this glass, the question is it half full or half empty? And of course, most people in the spa business would like to think this glass is half full. But I actually reckon it's half empty. And I think that's a good thing, because in the empty lies the opportunity. We can't do anything about the water that's already in the bottom of this glass. That's already done. That's where we are today. But what we can do is change and impact the bit that's unfilled, the bit that's left. So in the empty of that glass is the opportunity that we need. And again, we've got the cover, we've got the opportunity now. Hotels are going to listen to what we say, whereas before maybe they wouldn't. We have the chance to make it now. And I think it's important that you ask yourself this question, and not rhetorically. I've heard a lot of people ask, why me? Why my industry? Why did the spa have to close down? Why other businesses are allowed to open? Why have I run out of money? It's important that you ask yourself these questions and answer them seriously. Why did you run out of money? Well, because maybe you only had 3 months worth of cash flow in your bank, and all of a sudden you've been shut down for 12 months. Now, to be fair, I had just a little over 3.5 months of cash flow in our business as well. Fortunately, we had some reserves because we're lucky that we're backed by a big company. But if you weren't, most people probably thought 3 months was enough cash flow. Now we've seen that in a case like now, it's not. If you had 6 months worth of cash flow in your bank to cover your operations for 6 months as they were, with the reduced expenses and shutting down a few days of the week and those kind of things, you could have survived the last 12 months relatively comfortably. Why me? Why didn't I have another revenue stream? When the spa was closed down, I could have been selling retail online. Spas traditionally haven't been great at selling retail in general, and certainly not online. We were stuck in one revenue stream only. So why me? Well, maybe that's why. You can blame COVID, but the point is you needed to have a flexible model. You needed to have some cash in the bank. And why was spa not considered an essential service? And this is where I think you, the delegates, need to put pressure on your associations and your industries to maybe try and increase the awareness about the spa industry. I know certainly the folks in the UK have done a really good job of now having awareness. It was too late for COVID because they all got shut down anyway. But as a result of this, they've started to really push the awareness at the government level. And it's important to understand now that whereas spa may not have been seen as an essential service, after people have been locked down and isolated for so long, now we start to realize that actually human touch is a good thing. Actually, we do need to have that human connection. And so now would be the time to start going out to those research bodies, the universities, the institutions, and get professional research done that says why we're providing value other than just a bit of beauty and a bit of relaxation. And you know, the white papers and things that come out of a meeting like this are great because they're from the industry representatives, but we need independent data, independent research that is really unassailable. You can't question the research that's been done. Mental health, mental awareness around mental health is something that we've spoken about a lot during this lockdown. A lot of people have had a lot of issues with mental health. Now, spas can help with that. Not saying that we're the answer, but we can certainly help with that. So ask yourself, why me? And don't just say why me in a rhetorical woe is me. It's not woe is me, it's why is me. Ask yourself the question seriously. Another thing I just want to say is you've got to understand the difference between crisis and chaos. Right now, we are in a crisis. We are still, for most of us around the world, in the middle of this COVID-19 crisis. And whilst we think we need to act, that's not the time to act. The time to act is when the chaos hits. On the other side of the crisis, we hit chaos. And in the chaos is where the real opportunities come up. So don't go out of control. And if you look at the explosion picture in the background there, if there's a bomb going off and the bombs are falling, there's no point trying to react too much other than just cover because you don't know where the bombs are coming from. But in the chaos, once the bombs stop, that's when you have to make your move. That's when you get out. So understanding that we are in crisis today, now is not necessarily the time to act, but now is definitely the time to bunker down and to try and make sure you've got all of your ducks in a row, make sure you've saved as much cash as you can. But think about the chaos that is going to come on the other side of this, because there is going to be a hell of a lot of chaos out of this. It's already happening in other industries. We're going to see it as well. And with that, I wanted to also tell you a little bit of a story. And this is not a shameless plug for Mandara Spa, although it might seem that, because back in the mid-90s, for those that remember, there was this little thing called the Asian financial crisis. And at that time, the hospitality industry, particularly in most parts of Asia, certainly in Bali, was crippled. And there was one particular guy who had a hotel that went from 70% occupancies up in Ubud to around 10% occupancies. He was basically empty now. And he was sitting around thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? He happened to meet another guy who had actually just bought a great big piece of land in the middle of Kuta in Bali, and his plan was to build a big spa village, a place to do massages and things like this. But guess what? No tourists are coming to Bali anymore, just like it is now, and just like it is in many other countries. And so at that point, these two guys are sitting around over a coffee, and they said, well, hang on a minute, why don't we take the furniture out of the hotel room, throw a couple of massage tables in, and then get some of those girls that you've been training to do massage, and then we can try and sell massage services in the hotel, like a spa. We'll call it a spa. Mid-90s, there really wasn't anything called a hotel spa. Mandara Spa was born out of a crisis just like now. Here we are today, 25, 26 years later, still going. Strong? Well, I'd question whether we're going strong, but not many of us are at the moment. But the point is, out of that crisis, out of that impending chaos, there was a massive opportunity. And that opportunity was to create the hotel spa experience, which really Mandara was one of the founders of. And so there is an opportunity. You may not see it yet, but I guarantee you there's opportunities there. So all you need to do is keep your eyes out and, most importantly, start thinking a little bit differently. I've been saying for a long, long time now that the hotel spa of tomorrow is only going to be 20% of what it is today. I've got a few little ebooks on my personal website. This is not a Mandara plug. This is my own personal website. All these books are free. All the content that I put out that you mentioned is all on my website for free. So I would actually encourage you to go and have a little bit of a look at this one, Because one of the things that I say is that the hotel spa of tomorrow will be 20% of what it is today. So that 20% is going to be the massage, the manicures, the pedicures, the facial. And so then the obvious question is, what's the other 80%? Well, here's the interesting thing. The 80% is going to vary from hotel to hotel, spa to spa. And it can actually vary from one hotel to the other that is literally right side by side on the same road, based on a different market mix. And people say to me, well, hang on, if it's going to be 80% different, how do we still call it a spa? To which I go back to 1995 and 4 and 3 and 2, when we didn't know what a hotel spa was. We sometimes forget. If you talk to someone who's maybe in their 30s these days, they assume that spas have always been in hotels. It's not the case. I remember doing a business plan for a hotel in Perth back in the early 90s. And we looked at our SWOT analysis, our strength, our weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Our number one strength was our gym. And it was a rubbish gym. It was just a few very basic stations. That's all it was. But nobody was talking about spa back in the early 90s. So the question is, what's the other 80%? I don't know. So I'm not going to tell you. But I've got a few ideas that maybe you can play with. And what I would encourage you to do is understand that in this time of post-COVID and even current COVID, we have the cover to try new stuff. You've got nothing to lose. One of the things that we could potentially do is something I've spoken about again a couple of times, this idea of what I've very creatively called the Spa Plus. Spa Plus is basically a combination of different things. So take maybe an airport spa model, combine it with something like this, like a corporate lounge in a hotel, where you get your food and beverage, a nice place to hang out, nice view of the park. And then add together with that something like Butler Service. So you can go, have a massage, have a manicure, have a facial. You can also have some food, and you can also maybe get your shirt ironed. If you're staying in a hotel for business, you come down in the morning, you get somebody to iron your shirt while you're actually sitting down, having a massage or having some food or having something else done. Ladies, get the nails topped up or get their bag polished, or the guys get their shoes polished and have a foot massage. It's a combination of services. The future for the hotel spas especially is a combination of multi-use, multi-function kind of spaces. We have to get out of our mindset that a spa must have 5, 6 treatment rooms. It must have 2 or 3 double rooms with bathtubs and showers and all this stuff. That's a nice to have, but it's been done. It's been done for 20 years now. So if you want to try and find a way to do something differently, start thinking outside of the box. Start thinking about a combination of different ideas. The other thing that we can think about is be this. Be a place that completes this triangle. We've got home and we've got work, and you might have heard of a little coffee brand that tried to create this. They created the third place. Starbucks created the third place. We could be the third place. The spa could be the place you go between work and home and just hang out. Now, the current spas, maybe not. But the model we just looked at earlier, where you've got, say, a corporate lounge area, you've got a guest area, you've got a food area, it could be a place that you do actually want to hang out. So spas could really, truly become the third place. It's a massive opportunity for us to bring outside guests to the hotel, which is something traditionally we've always struggled with, right? I mean, a lot of us pretend that we're going to get lots of guests from outside the hotel. Reality hits in, and we realize that guests don't want to cross the threshold to the hotel to get to the spa, because it's the same as the other one. You know, look, we in the spa industry like to tell ourselves how amazing our facility is, and it is. But the other guys is amazing too. They're all beautiful. And so we've got to find ways to do something differently. Becoming the third place, a multifunction, multi-use space. And that third element, the 80% element, if you like, it might be in one hotel a co-working space. In another, it might be a retail space. Think about all the retail brands that are out there right now that need some exposure, that can't get it in their shopping malls. I was in a local mall here in KL on the weekend, which was normally chock-a-block by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I could get a car park at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because people still, even though we could, people weren't traveling. And I'm going to touch on that idea just a little bit later. The other opportunity for us is to potentially become the organizational face of wellness. And this is something that my good mate, Professor Jerry Bodecker, who a lot of you would know, he talked to me about this a while ago. And when Jerry said this to me at the time, I thought, what does that actually mean? And basically what he means is that we can be the guide for people into the wonderful world of wellness. Wellness is a confusing thing for a lot of people. We could go to the spa to be told where to go for wellness. Think about wellness real estate as a trendy topic. Everybody likes to talk about wellness holidays, wellness tourism. But where do you go for advice on wellness tourism? Where do you go for advice on the best supplements? Do you go to the supplement shop? Well, they're going to tell you the best one to buy based on the margin for them. You can go online, of course, but spas have a relationship with their customers. And if you've maintained that relationship during this tough period, you then have an opportunity to leverage that to become the trusted source of information on all things wellness. Today, you want to talk massive opportunity? There is no end-to-end wellness brand. And what I mean by that, if you think technology, you think maybe Apple or Samsung. If you think online shopping, you think Amazon. If you think wellness, what do you think? There's a million brands out there. Nobody has managed to tie it down yet. So it's a massive opportunity. Everybody's talking wellness. The spas could become the face of wellness, the place that the guests go to for information about wellness. Why couldn't the spa be the place to book my wellness holiday? Why not? Why couldn't the spa get that 10% commission for booking that guest on that holiday? Better still, why couldn't the spa have a list of all of the wellness real estate type opportunities around? All of the wellness housing developments that are around based on the various factors of wellness that they've implemented, whether it's something to do with the air quality or the furniture that's got low VOCs, whatever it is, there's massive wellness opportunities out there. If you could be the place people go to get advice on what wellness house to buy, what house is well enough for them, and you get a 1 or 2% commission on a $300,000 sale or a $500,000 sale, it's a lot easier than doing massages all day, I tell you. Another idea I want to throw at you was a blog post I wrote ages ago, which I kind of called The Machine Man. And The Machine Man was obviously a Marvel comic, as you can see here, but it's this idea in spas that we always like to think about the latest toys and gadgets and machines. We always want to have a new toy to play with. I think the idea of the Machine Man model would be, instead of us having to buy that equipment and then be stuck with an expensive piece of equipment that we can't necessarily swap out, and then when that trend goes away, think Vichy showers. You all know the Vichy showers, the massage table with the water jets on top. Great idea, but they're expensive to put in, and once you've got them, you really can't take them out. They're expensive to take out as well. So when you buy that machine, you're kind of stuck with it. What about, instead of doing that, we found a way to rotate our machines around? And so this is more of an idea as much as anything else for the suppliers of this equipment and the machines. Instead of you selling me a $20,000 facial machine or a salt machine or whatever you're going to sell me, or a cryo machine, why don't you make that mobile? Why don't you keep it, you keep the machine, and then you bring it to my spa and it stays in one of my rooms for 1 month or 2 months. We can book it in advance because we know it's coming, and we do a revenue share. And that way, you as the operator can own the upside. You know, if this machine is really as good as you say it is, then why would you want to just sell it to me and walk away? It doesn't make sense. And that, for me as the spa operator, means I've got much less capital requirement, so I can just come and basically take the machine for free. You come in and operate it with me, and we do a revenue share. And let's be honest, if you are the one that's using the machine with your people who've been trained, they know how to use that machine better than I do anyway. So if I just took the machine and got my people to try and sell that treatment, they may not sell it as well as your people. Your people are the experts. So that's an opportunity for people, I think, who are, number one, making the equipment, or number two, if you're an independent spa operator, or if you're just a person in the industry looking for your next opportunity, maybe what you could do is approach these equipment manufacturers, these machine manufacturers, and say, well, how about we do this? Let me be the operator, and we'll do a revenue share. I'll move it around from location to location. We'll book it out 12 months in advance. It's a whole new revenue stream. It's a whole new revenue model. It's a whole new business model, basically, for one particular segment of our industry. So that's another thing you might try. That's on my website too if you want to go and check out Machine Man. I would really, really encourage you to have a look at the Blue Ocean Strategy Canvas. The Blue Ocean Strategy is basically this idea of trying to find untapped territory, trying to find the market that has not yet been exploited. We're going to use an example here from the actual book Blue Ocean Strategy, which I would really suggest you get your hands on. And essentially what this is three curves for circuses. The blue curve, or the blue line, is the Cirque du Soleil circus that we're all familiar with, the fancy Cirque du Soleil. The two red lines represent the traditional circuses. The top line is Ringling Brothers, which is the most famous circus brand around, I guess. And the bottom line is, the red line, is regional circuses. So it's essentially the same shape, as you can see. The difference is that Ringling Brothers score a bit higher, if you like. And so if you see the axis here right now, what you're doing on the bottom of the axis, you're identifying the different elements of the business. And on the upper axis, the vertical axis, you're identifying what's more important, like are these high or low rated criteria. For example, price. If we look at the red lines again, starting with the red lines, a traditional circus, the price point for traditional circuses was relatively low. Now, when it came to star performers, when it came to animal attractions, when it came to aisle concessions, which is the guys throwing peanuts at you down the aisles, that was actually a high element of the business. That was actually a reason that people would come, and or it was a reason that they actually made a lot of their money. And then if we look over towards the end, we see that unique venues are not really a thing. They have the one venue. Now, take a look at the blue line. Cirque du Soleil came in, and they said, well, hang on, we're going to sell our circus at a really high price point. So straight away, we're total opposite of what traditional circuses are doing. And we're not going to have star performers. We're going to have an ensemble cast. We're not going to have animal acts. We're not going to have any of that stuff. We're not going to have aisle concessions. And we're going to be in unique venues. And we're going to do things a little bit differently. And what you can see is a gap between the red lines and the blue lines. In that gap, in that empty, is the opportunity. So go and take a look at the Blue Ocean Strategy, take a look at the Blue Ocean Strategy canvas, and think about what elements of your business are like today and what elements you could change to be opposite, because in there is potentially an opportunity. Now, I'm not saying that that means you're going to make money, but what I'm saying is if you've identified that the current model isn't working, and if you do opposite that, there's a good chance. What you do know is that if you continue doing what you're doing now, you're not necessarily going to get anywhere. You're going to continue to not evolve. Here's a really, really simple, basic example for a spa. The white circles represent today, the black squares represent tomorrow, what tomorrow could look like. So right now, in terms of price point, most of our spas are quite high. In terms of the facilities, they're all fancy and they're quite high. In terms of the choice of skincare, most spas don't have a big choice of skincare. They only have maybe 2 or 3 brands. When we look at the therapists aren't really the reason why people are coming. Even though we like to think they are, you talk to a guest in any hotel, do they know who their therapist is before they get there? Usually not. And of course, the other idea is the treatments. The treatments are pretty much in the middle of what we do. There's a fairly high selection, but again, they're kind of all the same. So let's create something totally opposite. Let's create a spa model with a low price point, super low price point. Basic facilities. When it comes to online products, comes to skincare products, we are going to offer multiple choices because we can do them online. We can sell anything. You could have every single skincare brand available if you wanted to. When it comes to therapists, when it comes to the treatments, we're only going to have a few treatments. Right now, there are too many treatments in most spas. So we'll just have a few treatments. And when it comes to the therapist, we're going to elevate the therapist. We're going to make the therapist the key reason for being. And then we're going to add this little revenue stream called nutritional supplements. Because why not? Something that you don't have right now, you can all of a sudden add something new to your business model. So that's a real basic idea of how you could apply the Blue Ocean Strategy canvas to your spa, to a spa strategy canvas. So honestly, I would really implore you to go and have a look at that book. the Blue Ocean Strategy. You can probably get versions of it online for free. I'm not encouraging that. I'd like you to go and pay the authors because I think it's a great book. But there's a lot of work being done on it. There's a lot of YouTube's videos on it. There's a lot of stuff you can find out. Pop-ups. I will leave you with pop-ups. Pop-ups are crucial. You can pop up anything. Think of any brand out there, and you could bring that brand into your spa. Pop-ups are the way for you to bring people into your spa, bring brands into your spa, partner with them, do a revenue share if you want or don't want, up to you. And then what you can do is you partner with these brands that are relative and related to wellness. So maybe it's a food brand, maybe it's a clothing brand, maybe it's a technology brand. And now you've got something new to offer your guests and your clientele. Pop-ups is a fantastic way for you to co-partner with other brands, other products, other services, and create something new in your environment. Now, the last message is very simply this. Ask yourself, if hotel spas did not exist today, what would you create in their place? And it's kind of hard to unimagine what is already here. But if you think about for 1 second, if the hotel spa didn't exist, like it didn't 25 years ago, thereabouts, would we build exactly the same model that we have today? Would we build the same facilities? Would we build the same services? Would we have the same business model? Would we be charging the same price? Or would we do something completely different? I personally think we'd probably do something a little bit different. Now, if you want to find some of my content, I've done this little podcast thing called Trent 365, which was supposed to be for 365 days. Unfortunately, I've gone for 3.5 years, so now it's Trent 1,200 and something. But all of the content that I spoke about today is on my website. All of my videos, my podcast and everything is on my website. It's all free, so I'm not trying to sell you anything. LinkedIn is the place that I hang out and spend most of my time. So if you want to connect, let's connect on LinkedIn.